Today I'm taking a look at the VEVOR welding table. So this looks like it's about 1/8 inch thick, but it is plenty reinforced. We got reinforcement here as well as going across the inside. You can also see this is all raw steel, which is excellent. That means we can use the table itself as the conductor. It comes drilled out for our tooling, and it is actually a fairly heavy piece of steel, just the tabletop. It comes with some C-clamps so we can lock things down to the table. It looks like we got 4 of those. We got our leveling feet. Looks like these are about 3 inches wide. We got our instructions, and these look to be fairly well detailed. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It actually comes with a chipping hammer. It's like a fairly light duty one, but it is definitely better than the ones you normally get with cheap welders. Got some gloves. Got a brass brush. Got a bunch of plates, and we got our legs. So this is our hardware. It looks like it comes with a couple of wrenches. So it looks pretty simple. What we're going to do is bolt the legs on and then bolt on our cross members. Looks like we got some back to front as well as side to side. And it looks like the legs and supports are powder coated, so we don't have to worry about any kind of a rust or anything attacking these. So I'm just going to take the leg and I'm going to press it against the corner. We got a bolt coming from the outside, and on the other side we got a washer and a nut. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And both the nut and the bolt are size 14. Now these bars, you can put these at whatever level you want. You can see there are 4 holes there. They show it as going in the second from the top hole. Now because these holes are slotted, I'm going to push that up so that way if anything rests on it, it's not going to be pushing that bolt down. Now we're going to do the same thing for the front and back. And these are going to go 1 hole up. Of course, if the table was on the ground, it would be 1 hole down. So the last thing we got are the leveling feet. So we already got a nut on the inside. We're going to put a washer and then another nut on the bottom. So with that, if our floor is unlevel, we could loosen this top guy down, drop that foot, and then tighten the other nut up. So we can make that match whatever kind of flooring we got. And then we can tighten those down with some 19s. So this is surprisingly nice looking. It's a little bit taller than the table I was working on, which is great because I like having my work up closer to my face so I can see it. So we're looking at about 33 inches with those leveling feet fully extended. They're not completely extended. They got about 4 threads left, so you could make it even taller than that, but it's usually a good idea to leave a couple of threads on those anyway. Just want to make it secure. But that is probably the best thing about this. This thing feels super secure. Like these legs are a little bit on the thin side, but after everything bolted up together, this thing feels like a tool shed. That is super nice. So originally I was thinking that these were all little plates that are going to be going into the assembly. These are actually for making jigs for the fixture table, so probably should have measured these. Look at about 5/8 holes. So the pins you're going to be using for this are going to be about 5/8. Now I don't have any 5/8 pins right now. I got a bolt. We're going to throw that thing in there. And because these holes are all drilled perfectly straight, we can use that to get our perfect 90s, our perfect 45s, whatever. So we could take this guy. We can line it up straight, we can line it up as a 45, do whatever the heck we want to with it, and we can use that to make sure that wherever we're going to be welding is going to be at perfect straight angles. We also got some V-blocks. We could use that and slap it up against it, and then put clamping force against that. We could also stand them up, find a way to clamp that down, and we could use that for laying our pipe on there. So there are a lot of options for this. These are not super thick. They're kind of thin for that purpose, but the fact of the matter is you can use that for it. It's just a simple starter kit. You can upgrade to whatever you want. Just make sure you're getting it for 5/8 holes. So I'm curious. I want to check it for cupping. It is not really crazy important to me because this is not a production shop. This is my garage. But naturally, let's go ahead and see. There is a very, very small amount of movement in there. I would say about 1/16 of an inch. So it is convex by about 1/16 of an inch. Perfectly acceptable for anything that I'm going to be doing. And then front to back, I can feel a little bit of a bump, but I cannot see it. So I'm going to call that flat. Now I consider that to be perfectly acceptable for a table in this price range. In fact, that is probably better than I would normally expect. You can get surfaces that are perfectly flat, but you can expect to pay thousands of dollars for that. So not only getting it so that it's flat when it gets to you, but also keeping it flat afterwards, because after you start applying heat to it, then it's going to start, it's going to change. For a hobbyist welding table, this is excellent. Now, remember what I said? I want to be able to use the table as a conductor. So the idea is we're going to use our working clamp or our grounding clamp. We're going to clamp that directly to the table. You can clamp that to what you're going to be working on. They're going to be putting a lot of heat onto that clamp. It's going to be getting, slag, spatter, and all that mess is going to be affecting it. Whenever you see a working clamp that usually looks like it's been abused, that is because they're clamping it directly to the workpiece. Still a perfectly fine thing to do if you need to, but that is why I want to have a table that has raw steel on it, not painted surface. I want to be able to clamp directly to it. So there we go. We have got a bead. And that just makes it so much nicer being able to clamp to the table instead of clamping to the workpiece, especially if you're dealing with small little coupons like that. It just means that your ground clamp is going to last a heck of a lot longer. So yeah, that is an awesome work table.